Welcome to City of Victoria Planning. If you would please silence your cell phones. We'll call the meeting to order. Do we have a motion for the minutes?
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Everybody's good with them?
Move approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
Made the motion a second.
Oh, Julia made the motion, didn't you?
I didn't.
No, Jim made the motion, not the commotion. All right, citizens communication, if there's anybody in the audience, please state your name and address and approach the podium. Seeing none, we will proceed with development reviews, formal action.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Thoroughfare Plan is a long-range plan to provide efficient flow of traffic throughout the city of Victoria. It provides a functional classification of major streets that permits travel between origins and destinations with ease and safety. The City of Victoria City Council adopted its Thoroughfare Plan in November of 1998. And because of recent development interests, a proposed secondary arterial extension needs to be realigned in the plan. The proposed realignment is Ball Airport Road from the proposed extension of East Airline Road to Business US 59. As you can see on the screen, the red is where it is the alignment currently is located, and the blue line is where the proposed alignment will be. The alignment is currently designed to line up as an entrance to Brentwood subdivision. Because of some recent development interests in an abutting 158-acre tract, the owners of the property, as well as the owners of adjacent properties, would like to readjust the proposed alignment to straddle two tracts of land along existing property lines. This would allow for the 150 acres tract to be more attractive to future economic development. The proposed amendment to the City of Victoria's Thoroughfare Plan would move the alignment approximately 500 feet from its current position and will not produce any negative effects to the surrounding residential communities or commercial activities. However, there would be a positive economic impact to the entire Victoria region, as the property would be more attractive to new businesses wanting to locate operations near the vicinity of the Victoria Regional Airport. Staff recommends approval of the Master Thoroughfare Plan Amendment. If approved, this amendment will be forwarded to City Council for consideration at their March 6, 2018 meeting. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer them for you. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you can answer this. What development interest?
We don't know specifics. We were just the property owners just requested the realignment because they stated they have interested parties looking at the property, and it would be easier if it was moved to the property line.
Will this change result in any additional expenditure down the road?
No, it should not.
Looks like cleaner.
Was it originally intended to be an intersection with like a light or something there at that Amherst intersection?
You know, I mean, I was not here in 1998, so I can't really speak to why. I mean, you do try and make those connections, but in this case, you know, you have the railroad as a barrier. There is an existing crossing to get into the Brentwood subdivision, but once you cross into the Brentwood subdivision, there's nowhere to go.
Right.
And then beyond the Brentwood subdivision, you know, there's a lot of drainage you know, changes down there that may be difficult to create as a road such as an arterial. And we don't foresee there being a huge demand as well. You've got, of course, the loop in close proximity to be able to cross over and be a major thoroughfare through there. So there does not seem to be any negative effects for moving this to the property line.
And is this something that's been done by the city before? I'm just curious. Is there a precedent in doing a developer? Okay, I see Mr. Kaminsky
Yes.
shaking his head back there.
We typically try and when we need to update our thoroughfare master plan, but when you look at laying out thoroughfare plans, you do try and straddle those property lines because the dedication can be such a burden for maybe one property, depending on where, especially if it's on the edge and may cut off too small of a remainder for a property owner to make it developable. So property lines are ideal, and then we also try and look at drainage districts. And so this alignment actually helps in both of those cases.
I can see how it's generally beneficial to have the alignment line up with an intersection like into Brentwood, but in this particular case, I think that it seems more advantageous for the economic development side and for being right along the property boundary.
Then I have one more question. Is this would be like a new ordinance, or I was just looking at,
Well, the plan was adopted in 1998, and then the
So-
map. There's a written plan, and then of course the map, and it's been amended over time. So it's a plan that is enforced through ordinance. So we enforce it through the subdivision process. So when a property is subdividing, if it's an existing thoroughfare that maybe doesn't have enough right of way, and the thoroughfare plan calls for, additional dedication is required. Or if it's a vacant tract like this, whenever they come to develop, then we would require a complete dedication of the entire right of way. So it is a planning tool, but it is enforced through our subdivision ordinance. So it's important to have the map reflect exactly what we want.
the reason I was asking on the thoroughfare master plan, that was included. It seems like every amendment is a separate ordinance. Is that correct?
I believe it's been adopted by ordinance in the
Okay.
past.
All
but
right.
The importance of it is the enforcement action.
No rights of way have been established or secured yet or anything? It's just proposed?
I'm sorry?
No rights of way have been secured or anything like that? We've just.
Correct.
What does the proposed gift mean? Of that entire tract of land to somebody, or
The
with
proposed.
the yellow outline that says proposed?
Oh, those
gift?
are those are just the property boundaries of how the appraisal district represents how those properties deeds are written. So you approximately 150 acres, 75 on the north track and 75 on the south, but it's one ownership.
I would think this would help you acquire the right of way to put it on the property line, because if I were the owner of that one where you have that little red line going through, I'd say, I'd want a lot to have my land cut in half in terms of right of way.
Yep.
It'd be a lot easier to acquire, 20 feet from him and 20 feet from the other side on the line.
Question, 'cause
Do you see what I see?
I see what you see, but I don't know if, no offense, it says proposed gift
They're talking about
in
the yellow
yellow.
lines on the,
Yeah, the yellow line that bounds those two areas.
I
It says
don't-
proposed gift and the legend below.
I
I
we
believe
were
that's-
wondering if that was gifted to the city or something.
I believe that's an error.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that was some of that UHV proposal some time ago? Or
Probably.
not
No, I don't
98.
think it was there.
I'll take it.
What I see here is a situation where you're realigning this, and it seems
No, no,
logical to me.
I have no problem with it. I'm just curious.
Myself, yeah, curious.
However, what I do see is that you're running straight into the old Victoria Machine Works building, and there needs to be a connection between this proposed road and I-69. So the question becomes, what's going to happen then? When it was over here, the way it's originally proposed, and I granted it's just a proposal, at Brentwood, an extension on down to 69 would just run right beside Brentwood, running on down to I-69. It would make the connection. And there needs to be a connection there, because if anything happens on 463, then there's no north-south alternate route. So it seems to me that, while I'm not against the idea of shifting it over 500 feet, it does run it straight into that commercial property and straight into that building.
It'd be a very difficult hurdle to get an additional crossing with the railroad from right there.
Yeah, because you cross the railroad right here.
Any potential crossing of the railroad.
The railroad is all along there.
you can even follow the line and see that there's development past there that would be,
Yeah, there's some other industrial. development.
prohibiting
Be
factors too,
blocked,
so,
yeah.
I mean, Not impossible, but
You have to
difficult.
condemn their driveway to make that road go across there too? Or by it?
And-
Is the view or the vision that this would be like a John Stockbauer or something like that, a pretty good-sized road? Or is it?
This is
It's
years from
proposed-
now?
It's proposed to connect to Ball Airport.
Time.
Which would have to cross Navarro somewhere out there, because it doesn't hit Navarro now, right? It ends like in Saddlebrook or somewhere? North Side Road?
I would
Mr.
move-
Baden, is this, what, years from now?
Yes, it's quite a ways down
Okay,
from right now.
5, 10 years at least?
Probably, maybe, but probably, maybe a little longer.
Maybe
than that,
longer
yes.
than that, huh?
It completely depends upon development
I
pressures. So
understand.
if any of those tracks were to develop, then the developer would be required to dedicate the right of way and then construct at least a local street, and then the city would usually do an oversized participation agreement. But as far as it connecting to Ball Airport, the existing Ball Airport, it may not even happen in my lifetime. But so we may have a disconnected thoroughfare planned, and eventually, as the city grows, we'll be connected.
I would move for approval of the proposed master thoroughfare plan amendment regarding the proposed Ball Airport extension.
A second.
I would, okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the report. We will have our development reviews.
So you'll see that we had one minor plat and one site plan for the Texan, as well as that was a minor residential replat. And then the variance that was considered at the January Planning Commission meeting was approved and granted by council. And as you can see, our permit activity is still well above our previous year totals. We are still seeing quite a bit of activity related to hurricane repairs. And then our next item is I'd like to introduce our new planner. This is Celeste Menchaca, who comes from the Austin area to us. She worked for the Office of Attorney General, doing a lot of right-of-way acquisitions and things of that nature. So she's very familiar with land development patterns and land development. And she's originally from the area, so we were very, very excited to be able to attract her back.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, yes. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
Any items from any of y'all? Nothing? Then we will be adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We didn't want you.